In this video, you learn how to play chord progressions on guitar in the Mixolydian mode. The Mixolydian mode is used a lot in rock and is the basis for many songs in this genre of music. Hi, this is Simon Candy from Acoustic Guitar Lessons Online.net, and in this video I'm going to break down the Mixolydian mode for you so you can easily understand it. We will then look at how to play and write chord progressions in the Mixolydian mode, targeting the all-important characteristic note that gives Mixolydian its sound. You're also going to learn some actual songs, some examples of songs in the Mixolydian mode so you can further your understanding of it. Now, if you're new to modes and particularly new to modal chord progressions, I'm going to link to a video in the top right corner that is an overview of modal chord progressions I did a little while back on the channel. Now, you don't have to watch that first to understand what we're covering today. So I would say stick here with me. Let's do this together, and then you can check out that video to broaden your understanding. So let's get to it. Okay, so what is the Mixolydian mode? Let's just provide a little bit of background here first before we get into writing chord progressions. Now, the Mixolydian mode is the fifth mode of the major scale. So we're going to look at G Mixolydian today, which is the fifth mode of C. Okay, so basically we're saying that G Mixolydian has the same notes as C major, however it is not the same key. It sounds quite different actually, but we could say that Mixolydian, its parent is C major. It's a mode of C major. However, I want to stipulate that it is not C major. Now, let's do a little bit of a comparison here of G Mixolydian being a major mode. Mixolydian is a major mode. So if we compare it back to its parallel major key, which is G major, so a parallel key is keys that share the same root. So G major and G Mixolydian are parallel to each other. Now have a look here. If we compare the two keys, what do we see? We see the only difference is the F sharp. So in G major, the 7th degree is F sharp. In G Mixolydian, the 7th degree is F. So we can say that while G Mixolydian is the fifth mode of C major, it is also, or can be thought of as a G major scale with a flatted 7th or a flat 7th, okay, as you can see here. Now you might think, okay, well, that's one note difference. That's not that big a deal, is it? Well, it is. I mean, G Mixolydian and G major sit next to each other on the spectrum, if you like, of light to dark, but they are still quite different. And even though there is only one note difference, it actually changes 3 of the 7 chords in the key. Now, that's almost half the chords. So really, to understand a key, any mode or major key or whatever you might be in, you want to harmonize it. That's how you really understand a key. So if we look at a G major and we harmonize it, we get the chords G, A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor, F sharp half diminished, and G. Okay, just the octave there. So we've got 7 chords there, okay? Now, if I flat the 7th degree, so F sharp down to F, as we've just said happens for G Mixolydian, it changes 3 of the chords, because if you look at G major, the F sharp is in 3 chords. If I change that to an F, each one of those chords change, and then, you know, quite significantly change the tone or the mood of the key, if you like, to be Mixolydian. So if we look at Mixolydian, G Mixolydian harmonized, and we do that, now we've got that F note in there, we get G major off the 1st degree, we get A minor, here's our first change, B half diminished is the 3 chord, not B minor, because the F sharp's become an F, makes that a B half diminished. Or another way of saying that is B minor 7 with a flat 5. Then we get C major, here's another change, D minor is the 5th chord in G Mixolydian. It was a D major in G major. And then we get E minor, and then here's the 3rd change, the F chord, the flat 7th chord. Okay, that is significant, I should say, because in G major it's F sharp half diminished. So there's 3 chords that change, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 7th. We're going to be dealing with G Mixolydian here, and having that understanding is really important as a foundation to then understand what we're going to do next. Okay, so what about some chord progressions in G Mixolydian then? How do we write a chord progression? Well, pretty simple once you've got the basics down, which we just went through. So if we now just focus primarily on G Mixolydian, we can see the chords. Now, I spoke in the introduction about the characteristic note, that is F. because that is the only point of difference between G major and G Mixolydian. So what we mean by that is, first off, that's the characteristic note, right? It's really giving the sound, the flavor of G Mixolydian is around that note. That being the case, when we write a chord progression in Mixolydian, we want chords that contain that F note. Not only chords that contain the F note, otherwise you'll play the same 3 chords over and over, but you want chords in your progression, at least 1, if not 2, that have the F note in it. Otherwise, we're not really getting the Mixolydian sound. It's a little ambiguous. It's like, well, if we don't use a chord with the F in it, one of the chords that has an F note in it, then it could be G major or G Mixolydian. So a very common little vamp to begin here, Mixolydian, is G to F. Now the other thing I should mention too is, because we are in G Mixolydian, it would be a good idea to begin your progression on the G chord. Now there's examples where you don't have to do this, but you really most times want to do that, and that establishes the tonal center of the key, which is G. Okay, and a very simple progression, more a vamp really, 2-chord vamp, is to play the G and the F. So it's a 1 chord to a 7. 1 and 7. Okay, and of course it feels resolved on the G because we are in G Mixolydian. That's real Mixolydian chord progression, because if you're in the key of G, you don't have an F chord. Okay, you don't even have an F note. So that's establishing a G Mixolydian sound with the G to the F, or we call it a 1 to a 7 chord. But we can expand beyond that a little bit. We want to do more than just 2 chords. So another example of a chord progression, we could play G to an F. Then we might go to the 4 chord, C, and back to G. So one more time on that, we've got G, we've got F, we've got C, and we've got G. Okay, pretty simple, just adding in the 4 chord. Now the 4 chord there does not have the F note in it, but as I said, it doesn't. Not every chord has to have the F note in it, because if it did, we'd be restricting ourselves to 3 chords. Okay, but ideally you want one of the chords to have the F note in it. So another example here, let's play a 1 to a 5 chord, the D minor that is, the 7 and the 4. Right, so we've got a 1 chord, we've got a 5, we've got a 7, and a 4, and then we'll resolve to the 1. Okay, so that's another example of a Mixolydian chord progression. So it's pretty simple really. Once you've got the layout of the key, if you like, and you know the notes and you know the chords and you know the characteristic note, comparing it back to its parallel major, then away you go. You can write your chord progressions in G Mixolydian. Okay, so now let's have a look at a couple of examples of the Mixolydian mode in songs that I'm sure you will know. So the first example is Sweet Home Alabama by Lynyrd Skynrd. So classic rock song, and very typical rock song in the Mixolydian mode. So someone might say to you, oh yeah, Sweet Home Alabama, it's in the key of D. Well, yeah, we need more information. That would imply D major. It's not in the key of D major, it's in the key of D Mixolydian. And if we have a look at the 3 chords that are in the song, we have D, we have a C, C add 9, so C major chord, and a G. Okay, now if we look at D Mixolydian, let's just have a look at it first in terms of the chord makeup. We see that D Mixolydian, remember, Mixolydian is a major scale with a flat 7. That's how we can get to it pretty quickly. So if we look at D major, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, we flat the 7, C sharp becomes C, bang, you've got D Mixolydian. Now if we harmonize that scale, you will see that we get D major, then we get E minor, we get F sharp half diminished, we get G major, A minor, B minor, C major, and D. Okay, that's a bit different to what you get when you harmonize or when you are in D major. The chords in Sweet Home Alabama, as we just started to do, is the 1 chord, 7, and the 4. Right, so 1, 4, 7. 1, 4, 7, 4. Sorry, I might have said that wrong way around. Right, so 1, 7, 4. And 7 and the 4. And back on the 1, of course, okay? That's an example of a song in D Mixolydian. Let's have a look at another one here quickly. So, very famous song, Norwegian Wood by the Beatles, of course. Now this is also D Mixolydian, so we're in the same key here. So we've got the same group of chords here to choose from or to play on. Now this song is actually in, I'm going to show you, it's in D. The first part of it is in D Mixolydian. The second part is in D Dorian. So the whole first part of this song, the chorus, if you want to call it that, just based on the one chord. It's in 6/8 time, and it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you might think, how the hell do you know that's in D Mixolydian when there's one chord? Could that not be D major? If I'm just sitting there strumming that chord, that's a fair question. Yeah, it could be. What makes it D Mixolydian is the melody on top. So we don't always have to have the chord progression necessarily outright telling us what the mode is, where we're at tonally. Okay, in this case, you've got a melody that goes. Right, so we're going. Right, something like that. How do we know it's in C? In D Mixolydian, it's the C note that's played in the melody. Because what is the point of difference between D major and D Mixolydian? In other words, what is the characteristic note? It's always the flat 7, which is C in this case. And if you look at the melody, right here, that's the C note. That's what makes it Mixolydian. Okay, so we've got this D or D major here. Okay, so it can be in the melody more, so it can be in both too, and often is, but it could be, you know, the melody that's expressing the mode more than the chord itself. If we just isolated the chord, we don't really know what we're in there. Okay, we need more information. In comes the melody. Okay, we're in D Mixolydian. Now, as I said, the verse of that song goes into D Dorian. This sort of thing. Right, it's this D minor chord comes in. And then it's setting it back up. Hear the brightness come back. Back in Mixolydian. Right? And hear the shift to Dorian. Setting it up to come back to the brighter Mixolydian, etc. Okay, so if you want to check out the Dorian mode, I do have videos on my channel to do with Dorian mode, both chord progression and soloing in Dorian, so you can check that out. But that's very interesting how you can change mode mid-song. Okay, so one more example here is a song called Bittersweet Symphony by a band called the Verve. Okay, now this is in E Mixolydian. So let's just have a quick look at E Mixolydian. It helps, you know, when you look at different modes in, you know, different keys of Mixolydian, if you like, you find that you can reinforce the mode itself, right? And see that it's always the same chord makeup, and it's always going to be flat 7 being the characteristic note. So if we're in E major, we have, you know, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, flat the 7. Now we have E Mixolydian, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D, E. Now if we harmonize that scale, we get, of course, the same makeup of chords as we did with the other Mixolydian keys. We only now, because we're in E, we get E major, F sharp minor, G sharp half diminished, A major, B minor is the 5 chords, C sharp minor is 6, 7th chord is D, and then just the octave E. Okay, so they're the chords. Now, if we look at Bittersweet Symphony, it's got a E, a B minor, a D, and an A. That's the chord progression. All right, more specifically, it's A, B minor 7, D sus2, and A. Okay, so it's a 1 chord to a 5, to a 7, to a 4, back to 1. And of course, 2 of those chords have the characteristic note D in them, that being the B minor 7 and of course D. Okay, if we just had the E and the A chord on its own, well, that could also be E major, because E major has E and A, okay, the 1 and the 4 chord. But add in just one of those chords, but in this case 2 of them that have the D note in there, we are undeniably in E Mixolydian. E to B minor 7 and D and the A. And there's a little melody that goes like that. Okay, and the melody has the D note in there as well. And if you like with the chords, right? Okay, so that's another example of the Mixolydian mode in action, this time in the key of E Mixolydian and with the song called Bittersweet Symphony by the Verve. If you like this video, then you'll love this free ebook I've created for you in my Jazz Concepts for Acoustic Guitar series, simply titled Block Chords. In this ebook, you learn the 3 main block chord types for your guitar playing and how to create great music with them. I also show you how to best visualize these shapes on your guitar so you never forget them. It's as easy as changing one single note in each block chord shape. You also learn a system for easily relating the block chord shapes to each other all over the fretboard so you can play any chord you like in any position with ease. So click the link below in the description of this video and download your free copy of the ebook audio Jazz Concepts for Acoustic Guitar Block Chords. Let me know in the comments section what acoustic guitar topics you'd like to see covered in future videos. Let me know about songs you like that are in the Mixolydian mode. What are some songs that you can share in the comments below? Would love to read your comments. If you've got any questions, simply ask and I will reply. So don't be shy, I love to hear from you all. If you like this video, then hit that like button. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And of course, hit the all-important notification bell button so YouTube can tell you when I've got a new video to release. This is Simon Candy from AcousticGuitarLessonsOnline.net. Thanking you for your attention. It's always appreciated. I hope you got a lot out of the video and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.